get excited about God. God is amazing. He's incredible. He loves you so much. And get out of your own way. If you can't be true to yourself, you can't be true to anybody. I think that's one of the biggest things in the world, and I think it's all, even in the church, there's a lot of people that aren't being truthful with themselves and where they're at and locating where they're at.
Well, hey guys, I'm here with Beaver Fleming.
You?
And do you want to just quickly introduce yourself, share about yourself?
Sure, yeah. So my name's Beaver Fleming. I'm a professional skateboarder. I travel the world with the Nitro Circus, compete in the X Games, and yeah, my hashtag is riding aboard and praising the Lord. So I am a fire-filled believer, just really believe that God's given me a purpose with my skating and with my skill, and want to encourage as many people that whatever their dream is, God's given it to them for a reason, and they can make something epic with their life.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You know, you came out here to Denmark, Copenhagen. You've been in different places around the world just to actually share the gospel and bring skating, the fun of skating, but also share Jesus and share the hope that's in Jesus. And I personally really respect that, seeing Christians who are really, you know, passionate about what they do. You're in in the public sector, you're very well known, but you are unashamed of sharing your faith. I'd love to hear you just kind of unpack a little bit, like, what is your experience with that? Was that a difficult thing to actually make that part of your lifestyle, or is that something that just bubbles over?
Honestly, it's something that bubbles over. You know, I love that the Bible, it talks about in Proverbs how the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks, and there really is just so much overflowing in me from God that it's like I can't help but have a conversation and just love on people and just let them know the love of God. It's really who I am and what I believe the characteristic of a believer should be. You know, we're called to be the light of the world, the salt and the light. We're supposed to bring out the flavor in things and also light up the darkness. So that's what I try and do, and really have that as my kind of mentality going into whatever I do. Is I want to be a lamplighter. I want to light the world on fire and let it be known that there is a light. You know, in the beginning it was formless and void, but then light came. He said, "Let there be light," and the light penetrated that darkness. And you know, it's such a good metaphor for our world because we live in such a dark world. So for us as believers, especially in a time like this, we're so seeking the light. Even those that are living in darkness, like, you can't deny the light anymore. And so it's a great time to be ministering.
So good.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I found difficult was being in the sport, being in wrestling, and then coming to Jesus and being so passionate for God. I didn't know how to follow God and honor Him, but continue in wrestling. I thought they were at odds with one another. I'd love to hear some perspective on that. Like, can you be completely committed to something, but also live a life that's just God honoring?
Absolutely. I think there's this promise in Colossians, or this word in Colossians that really speaks to me and I always think about, and it's chapter 3, and it says, "Whatever you do in word or deed, do it all as if glorifying God." And so I think about that and I'm like, God doesn't really care about what we do, He cares about who we are, whatever you do. So if I ride a skateboard, if I, pastor a church, if I work at McDonald's, like, wherever I do, if I wrestle, whatever it is that you're doing, God looks at the heart. And so if our heart's in that place that we want to honor God and be the best we can be and be an influence and a light in that industry, there's so many people in the wrestling world, there's so many people in the skateboard world, and I really feel called to that. So I feel called to pursue it with a passion so that I can honor Him through it. I think, again, with like the parable of the talents, like, God doesn't care what we do. He gave them the talents and then He left. The master left in that story because He was like, all right, it's your job to multiply it. However you want to do that, however you feel led to do that, whatever your passions are, whatever your skills are, all I care is that you multiply what I've given you. So if it's skateboarding, if it's speaking, whatever it is, I want to be multiplying those different gifts and talents that I have.
That's good, man. What is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self, to a younger person who's passionate for God? We talked a little bit about that, but share whatever you want to share. What's that one piece of advice?
I would say just go all in. God really is a faithful God. He is a loving God. He's a passionate God. So one, live with passion, live with faith, Faith, hope, and love. These are all the things. It says that these three things will remain. In our world, we don't see faith out there. We don't see hope out there. We see such a lack of love out there. But if we can just carry those characteristics around and passionately pursue faith, hope, and love on our journey with God, and remembering that it's with God, not for God. There's been so many times in my life I've tried to do things for God and got burned out. But it's all about living life with God and knowing we can't do anything apart from Him.
Yeah.
And that's what will keep us, congruent on that road in our actions in line with what we believe.
This guy's spitting truth, man. You're like a preacher. You're just doing it everywhere, though. I'd love to hear you talk though about patience. This idea of patience and staying the long game.
Yeah.
When you're pressing in, you're going for things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just so powerful that God is love, right? And we get the definition of love from the Bible, and it says love is patient, period.
Yeah.
That's the first description of what love is. And so if we're called to reflect love, if we're called to be reflections of God, we're called to be patient. And how patient is God with us? Time after time after time, we slip up, we make mistakes, say things, do things we shouldn't and know are better than. But God is so patient with us.
Yeah.
And He's patient to, perfect us into His image. And when we achieve that, when we get to the next world, when we get to those pearly gates, I'm so excited for it. But we got to be patient in this. And I think it's one of those things, it's like, as a believer, it's not like you say the sinner's prayer and then all of a sudden everything is perfect in your life. It's like, no, you're going to endure hardship, you're going to endure trials, but it's going to be a beautiful journey. And if we can stay patient knowing that failure isn't fatal and that it's not done until it's done, that gives us strength, that gives us hope. And in our instant gratification age where I want it all, I want it now, we're so consumed by these things that are so temporal. What if we just continue to reflect and inspect our life about what's eternal and be patient with that? Because eternity is a long time. So if we can be patient, we'll do just fine.
That's good, man. As a young man with a family, I think patience is something that I need to hear almost every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is geared toward young people, right?
Yeah, young believers who just are passionate for God. Obviously, older people might watch it, but yeah, mostly young people.
Yeah. Get excited about God. God is amazing. He's incredible. He loves you so much. And get out of your own way. If you can't be true to yourself, you can't be true to anybody. I think that's one of the biggest things in the world, and I think it's all, even in the church, there's a lot of people that aren't being truthful with themselves and where they're at and locating where they're at. And because this is, again, more geared toward young men, I'm just going to say it too. Get rid of the porn. It's such a pandemic right now. That's the real pandemic, is pornography. And I think the stats are like 80% of men struggle with it. And that's 80% of men even in the church.
Yeah.
And so that's one of those things in our day and age where every song, all the movies, everything that's there, we're dudes. We're going to be attracted to women, but we've got to safeguard that and just stay patient for that significant other that's coming into our lives. So especially if you're single and how jacked up is dating right now, where it's a lot of it's online and a lot of it's over phones, stay patient. Remember, God said it's not good for man to be alone. There's a reason we have that desire, but it's all in the right context and in the right place, and it'll produce a beautiful thing in your life. So I want to encourage you guys with that, because I know it's heavy and where I'm at, but I know all over the world.
Yeah, that's so good, man. And I think talking about the true definition of manhood.
Yeah.
The world says, one thing completely, but God is actually trying to protect something. If we can honor that, it's worth it. It's
Absolutely.
worth the sacrifice.
Absolutely. All it does is defile, torment, and enslave. And that's anything that's taking you away from God.
Yeah.
And that's all sin is, right? All sin is sin. No mistake that you made yesterday or today is different. And so just recognizing that it's all separation from God, and that's not what you want. You're watching this video, you're in church, you're passionate about God, you want to do life with Him, get rid of those things that are separating you. I love that Paul says, just cut it off. If anything causes you to sin, cut it off. So that's what we got to do.
Yeah. Well, do you want to pray or say anything before we end the video? I love just the wisdom that you brought so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, Heavenly Father, I just thank you for this ministry. I thank you for this mighty man that just wants to honor you in this time, talent, and treasure. Pray that you would just continue to let everyone that sees this video be inspired, be impacted, be set free from those things that are holding them back as they step into that future that you've called them for. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your grace. We thank you that your mercies are new each and every day. Let us hold on to that mercy for each day and just seek you above all else. In your mighty name. Amen. you.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Love hearing from you.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah. See y'all.
Cool.